Thank you for joining me today. Are you ready to save time and energy on your drawings? This one technique will be able to save you loads of time and hassle with trying to get the right size, right proportions, and dimensions and shape of your drawings. So picture this. Have you ever opened your sketchbook or started a drawing and you see this blank white piece of paper and you don't know where to start? So the answer is simple. It's shapes. Yep, shapes. You see, shapes are the foundation of a great drawing. By breaking down the complex objects that you want to draw to its basic form and shapes, you're able to get the correct proportions, the right composition, and the overall look without getting distracted by all the details. Let's say you want to draw a portrait. First, you start with the circle for the head, do a square for the torso, and some lines to create the shoulders and the arms. And from there, you have the basic framework. Not only does using shapes save you time, but it also helps you avoid making mistakes. So when you focus on that underlying structure first, you're less likely to end up with lopsided faces or disproportionate limbs. But the benefits don't stop there. By starting with shapes, you can experiment with different poses, angles, compositions more quickly and find what you like the most. And here's the best part. You can use shapes with all your drawings. Portraits, landscapes, still life, anything that you want to draw, you can begin with the shape of it. So are you ready to give this a try? Grab your sketchbook and a pencil, and we're going to break something down into shapes. Today we're going to draw a dog. So first, we're going to start by finding the basic shapes of the dog. So here we're making some ovals for the legs, circles for the feet, circle for the round body, and you can use any shapes. It doesn't really matter. I've shown different ways you can make shapes. With the blue lines you see, I'm using circles mostly, and with the orange lines, I'm using three-dimensional shapes. After you find all the shapes to fill in the dog, then you begin to connect them with lines and start to form out the different parts of the body, like the feet and the toes. I began to add a little bit of fur to help me understand what part is what, and adding different textures and things as you go kind of helps you understand what you want that part to look like. And you can go back in and erase and move things around, double check to see if your proportions are correct by measuring. Even at this point, I'm looking at the shape. How does that mouth look? What kind of shape is that? So I'm not really looking at the dog's mouth as a mouth. I'm looking at the shapes that it creates, how the line curves, where it goes straight. I'm starting to add some more detail in the face to get a good idea of what details are important and what details are not important. As you add in these details, you begin to see the defining features of the dog or of your subject. I've only drawn a dog once before, so I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just kind of looking at the picture, trying to match it, using the shapes and connecting the shapes correctly, and then making adjustments as I go. When I first start out my sketch, I'm using a 3H pencil so I don't commit to dark lines, so I can erase them easier later on. And as I move forward, I'm going to use a darker pencil. I'm using a 2B to put in some of the darker areas, some of the shadows, the darker lines to help some of the features pop out a little bit more. As you can see, when you start to add the details and the textures on top of the shapes that you've created, the form of the dog and the realism of the dog starts to come through. Now I'm going to try to do it without any shapes to help me get the proportions and the size and the parts. And as you can see, it's a little difficult. So I'm starting with the legs and going to build off of that, hoping that I can get everything in proportion, hoping that I can get all the details I need to make it work. I mean, you can tell it's a dog, but my legs are way too small. I can tell already. And the body looks a little fatter than it should. And now I'm into the head. And it feels like the head looks really huge and the ears are really tiny. If we compare the two drawings together, you can see how the shape of the dog looks a little more proportionate, a little more realistic when we use the shapes, as opposed to just freehanding it. Looks like something more refined and more thought out. Save time on your drawings using shapes by getting the right proportions. And again, it works for composition. It works for anything that you're going to draw. Building up that foundation and then adding the details on top of it. Thank you for watching this video today. If you'd like to see more time-saving tips and tricks or other videos on how to draw, please hit the like button, subscribe, and look for more videos coming soon.